All right, so I just got done recording the top 5 most hated submarines video, so I'm gonna record the top 5 most hated carriers in World of Warships, okay? We're just gonna do 2 of them at one time, okay? So, we're gonna be going over the top 5 most hated aircraft carriers in World of Warships. Make sure to write down in the comments if you agree with this list or not, and what your most hated aircraft carriers to deal with or fight against in warships are. So, let's get started. All right, number 5 on the list is going to be the Malta. So you can get the Malta for coal in the armory. This thing, when you see this thing on the enemy team, you know you're going to be in a world of pain. It has very strong aircrafts, which is why it's such a menace. It has good rockets, good torpedo bombers, and good AP bombers. And these things do hurt. If you're in a light cruiser or even a heavy cruiser dealing against the Malta, you know you're going to be in a world of pain. And if you're in a battleship as well, yeah, this is going to be petting your deck and doing massive damage, right? And if you're in a destroyer, oh yeah, those rockets, a world of pain as well. Torpedoes, oh yeah, cruiser battleship, yeah, you're going to be losing at least 15k per run, by the way. Yeah, massive damage. It hurts. It's like the FDR, but British and just more pain and faster, and that's just how you describe it. It's just a better FDR for coal. You don't even have to pay for steel, you can just get it for coal. It's truly a menace for tier 10 enjoyers. When you see a Malta on the enemy team when you're in a light cruiser, yeah, you know he's going to be sending those AP carpet bombers after you, and he's going to be citadeling your deck. So watch out when you see a Malta on the enemy team. For number 4, do you ever feel like your anti-air does nothing and your fighters are completely worthless? Then look no further than the Nakhimov. So the Nakhimov is part of the Soviet tech tree for, well, the aircraft carriers, of course. It's a tier 10 version of that. So what makes this particular ship so broken or most hated, right? So with the Soviets, they have an all or nothing strat for their aircraft attacks, right? So they attack with their entire squadron. So during that, even though on paper, it doesn't look like their planes are very tanky. They don't have that much HP. It's one run. How bad can it be, right? Well, that's where you're wrong. So since these things only have one attack and their squadron is all in one attack, that means when it does its attack run, it's taking way less damage during that run. And the fact that it has a really fast return time for the aircraft, it's like after they do the time they go up, it makes it where you just do not do much damage to them at all, right? And a lot of their attack ranges are so far away, you're not really able to do a lot of damage to them anyway. Also, they break the physics of fighters, how fighters latch on and attack. Since it's only one squadron, when it does its attack, the fighters automatically leave. So all the player has to do is, if a fighter attaches, just start an attack run and do the attack, and the fighters leave it alone and doesn't do any damage. So it negates fighters, and it also doesn't take much anti-air damage. And on top of that, the attack fighters do massive damage. So they attack aircraft, so the ones with rockets, they can do like 20,000, 25,000 damage to broadside cruisers, battleships, aircraft carriers. They do massive damage. Torpedo bombers could also do massive damage, and they hurt like hell. Skip bombers are also really annoying, but the main weakness of this thing is destroyers. But against cruisers, battleships, aircraft carriers, it's going to be a true menace. It's just an absolute nightmare. And when the planes first take off, they get a rocket boost, so it launches roughly about 10 to 11 kilometers in front of the carrier. So if you're anywhere within 15 kilometers, let's say more like 13 kilometers of this carrier, you're going to be attacked about every 13 seconds, by the way. Sorry, 30 seconds, not 13. 30 seconds you're going to be attacked by this thing. So just imagine getting attacked over and over again, and your fighters being worthless, your anti-air barely shooting anything down, and that's the definition of the Nakhimov. And that's why it's number 4 on the most hated list. So for number 3, we got the Shinano. So the Shinano was one of the original Steel Will event ships that came out in 2024, along with the Archerfish that stayed in the armory, right? So you can get these currently for steel in the armory, okay? So why is this thing so hated? Why is it number 3 on this list? So there's a few things, right? So let's look at the armor real quick. This thing's got a 75mm deck. Okay, that's pretty thick. But look at the hull. Does this hull look familiar to you? Does it look familiar to one of the legit the largest battleship there ever was, right? Yeah, it's the Yamato hull, by the way. Yes, you heard me right. That is a Yamato hull with less armor. So you have a 27mm bow, 27mm aft, midsection armor 400 here, and even has the same citadel weakness as Yamato. So it's essentially a Yamato, but made into a CV. Okay? This thing also has a lot of HP and very high torpedo protection as well, okay? So this thing is essentially a battleship with a carrier on top of it, okay? And that's just what it is. And with this, they've given it very accurate secondaries. And with the manual secondaries, you can know where I'm going with this, okay? So you can do some slight memeing with these secondaries, a little bit, okay? Just a little bit. Because you can also use the special squadron to lay smokes. So you not only can you use your secondaries and are really tanky, it also has a smoke screen. Imagine a destroyer trying to damage this CV, right? Imagine it trying to damage it as it's like kiting away or it's in a smoke. It just pops a smoke up. It keeps you spotted while the secondaries are just gutting you and killing you down. And that's the Shinano. Oh, and that's the meme version of the Shinano. That's not even what makes this thing so strong, okay? So this thing gets the Japanese torpedo bombers, which are extremely strong. They do tons of damage, right? So you got those. You got skip bombers, and not just skip bombers, AP skip bombers. And these skip bombers, oh, they're just skip bombers. They can't citadel a battleship, right? No, they can citadel a battleship. And oh yeah, not the most armored ones, right? No, you can citadel a Yamato in this thing. Even a Kremlin, you can citadel with these skip bombers. You heard me right. It can citadel Yamato. It can citadel Kremlin. Yeah, these bombs are insane. So if you have your broadside to these skip bombers, prepare to be penetrated by the legendary AP skip bombers, okay? And then finally, you have the dive bombers, the special squad of dive bombers. And these hurt. They smash destroyers, right? This is like the main strength of this thing is against destroyers is these HE bombers. Because they recharge every 2 minutes, and it's an all-or-nothing squad. Very strong, so yeah, it's a true menace. So it has very strong torpedoes, strong AP skip bombers, and then it has the smoke from the special dive bombers, and these things pack a punch, and they do massive damage. So that's why this is going to be on number 3. I don't know what you guys were expecting, right? Number 2 being the F6. I don't know what you guys were thinking is going to be here, but yeah, Captain Obvious, it's going to be number 2 as most hated. And that means number 1 is going to be absurdly insane. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. But number 2 is going to be Essex, and I'm going to explain why. All right. So this ship gets torpedo bombers, right? Regular squadron torpedo bombers, and they already do a lot of damage, right? They do a lot of damage on these torpedoes, okay? A lot of them. And they do a lot of damage on their own. But then you get 2 special squadrons, okay? And these special squadrons, they do a lot of damage on their own. The fighters do a lot of damage, high fire chance, and then you have the HE bombers, and these do a lot of damage as well, right? The carpet bombers, they do a lot of damage on their own, okay? That's strong on their own. But look what these 2 things have. They have smoke screens, and there's a total of 6 of them. And these things recharge. The carpet bombers are 2 minutes, and the attack fighters are also 2 minutes as well, just a little bit faster. So you can essentially, if you cycle it correctly, you can essentially keep somebody perma-smoked with the carrier, by the way. You can keep it perma-smoked when you build into it and have the cooldown and everything. You can have it perma-smoked, which is absurd to say, but the CV can essentially smoke itself indefinitely. I've seen people run Essex down the middle of the map doing this, where they've put fighters, like their special combat fighters around them, so like the carrier can't go near them or anything. And if anything tries to get close to them, they'll be in a div where they have their allies in the smoke with them, protecting them. It's absurd. So when you see an Essex, and oh, by the way, and the fact that it has 2 rechargeable squadrons means that no matter what you do, you're always going to have planes to fight no matter what. So normally by end game, you're like, oh, well, I've shut down most of the planes. It can't really send that much more, right? Wrong. This thing can keep sending more and more and more and more and more, even in the late game of the match. So no matter what you do, there's always going to be more planes coming after you from the Essex. Now, the Essex doesn't have a lot of armor, right? It is squishy, but it has a smoke screen to protect itself. It can legit smoke itself up, right? And that is absurdly strong with the meta. And also, when you see an Essex with a div, you know that CV is going to be smoking up his allies and putting a fighter on them to where the enemy CV isn't going to be able to counter it. And that CV is going to be spotting for his allies that are in that smoke. So he gives his allies smoke, he gives them fighter coverage and spotting. I don't know what's more hated than that. It's super strong, and it's really annoying to dealing with Essex. To me, personally, Exes to me are the most annoying CV to deal with, just because of how much utility it has and how much versatility it has with the fighters, the smokes, the rechargeable planes. It's number 2 on this list for that, which means the number 1 on list is going to be super strong. All right, so for number 1, it's going to be all super aircraft carriers. Okay, all of them. I hate all super carriers. I got 2 reasons, okay? 2 reasons why I hate super carriers, okay? For number 1, it's super carriers, okay? The reason why is because when you see this thing in your match, okay, it's already rare to see them at this point, right? They're like an endangered species at this point. They're not very common. But when they are in your match, they always F up the matchmaking, okay? So it's not just the fact that you're getting a smaller match, like a 6v6 or an 8v8 with a super CV. No. It's not just that. It's also the fact you're dealing with this thing as well. And normally when you're dealing with this thing, you get the mismatched matchmaking as well, where you get like 1 DD on one side or 2 on the other. So the match is already mismatched, and it's already going to be a hell of a match. Then you got a super CV just coming at you with, you know, jet attack fighters, jet torpedo bombers that recharge, and then the HE bombers, and these things just do massive damage, like 30,000 damage for the torpedoes. The attack fighters do a lot of damage themselves, and it's already hard enough to shoot down these planes just because of how fast they are. But no, it's already absurdly strong with these rechargeable planes. And again, since these are rechargeable, that means that you are going to be seeing them a lot during the match. And it also has regular planes as well, which is also annoying as well. But yeah, overall, number 1, it's mainly due to what the super CVs bring. It brings miss matchmaking, or queue dumps is a better way to put it. So you get like really weird or really annoying matches to deal with. And the CVs themselves are already super strong because of, you know, super CVs. But for number 1, it's going to be all of them. I think, like, if I was going to say, like, the most hated one, I don't know. I think the most hated one for me would be, like, the United States, like, to deal with. Like, to me, it's the most annoying. But all, like, the Security and the Eagle all have their own specialties and what is really strong for them. But overall, I would just say the United States is the most hated super CV for me personally. But that's, like, the main reason why it's number 1, okay? So for me, the super CVs are the most hated, right? It's mostly due to the mismatching of that. Now, if you really want to get down to it, okay, I think everyone's most hated CV, all right, if you really want to get down in the dirty of it, was the original Ho Show, okay? This thing was an absolute menace when you started playing this game. Anyone that doesn't know what I'm talking about, you're lucky. But back in the day, this thing used to have 2 torpedo attacks per run, right? Yeah, it used to be 2. It wasn't 1, it was 2. And it would be able to do this 3 times. It would be like 6, right? And as a squadron, it'd be 6. So tier 4 has like no anti-air, right? No anti-air. So you would get back to back to back to back torpedo bombers coming at you over and over and over again. And you're just new to the game, just an innocent little battleship or cruiser player, not understanding why your anti-air isn't doing anything to these torpedo bombers as you're being griefed by a super Unicom Hosho player that all he plays is Hosho, and he just loves to Seal Club at tier 4. The original aircraft carrier Seal Clubber was the Hosho. Thank God they nerfed it after like 5 years, 6 years. I don't know how long it took them, but Jesus Christ, it was so long. But thank God they finally nerfed it. But Jesus Christ, this thing was an absolute menace. But yeah, that's my list for the most hated aircraft carriers in World of Warships. So let me know if you guys agree with the list, and I will see you guys in the next video. Deuces!